which I think is a very important press conference for three different reasons. As you know, United Kwacha Alliance, in our first presser, talked about making a clarion call to all political parties, the church, traditional leaders, NGOs, and student institutions of higher learning and researchers, academics, and Zambians of like mind in and outside of the country to rally around the national cause of saving Zambia from the growing despondency. We pointed out that the despondency came about because the Zambian people have a general sense of disillusionment with the politics, economics, and governance of our nation. It is clear that the Zambian people are disillusioned by the political governance of our country and displeased by the shrinking democratic space. The Zambian people also feel stifled by the gagging of citizens through legislation like the Cyber Security and Cyber Crimes Act and the laws on criminal defamation. There is now the dreadful proposal to amend the Independent Broadcast Authority Act, which will then be requiring everybody who just wishes merely on their own device to impart whatever thoughts they have to the people, as is guaranteed under the Constitution. They now want to have licensing of such things being done, which is clearly going against our very own Constitution. Even Laura Miti, who is a commissioner appointed by President Hakainde to the Human Rights Commission, has condemned the proposed amendment to the IBA Act. Surely this government should listen to its own Human Rights Commission. Laura Miti was appointed by President Hakainde. Is he not going to listen to the very people he has appointed? Now, in order for us to achieve the things that we set out to do in our first presser, it is necessary that we organize ourselves and start putting into action a plan that will make us arrive at what we have decided to do. Part of that, as I said, is our colleague President Kateka offering to us this premises, part of this premises for our secretariat. And for a secretariat to run, there is a need to have a Secretary General. And one of the announcements that we have for today is the introduction to yourselves of the person who is going to be the Secretary General of the United Kwacha Alliance. I'll give you just a brief background about the person we have appointed. This person is somebody who's got a lot of experience, both in politics, both in commerce, in government, in economic affairs, in every field that is necessary for a person who will be taking on the task. He used to be MP for Solwezi Central. He was a special assistant for project implementation and monitoring for President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. He was Minister of National Development and Planning, and he was a Secretary General for MDC. Ladies and gentlemen, I now have the pleasure of announcing that our Secretary General for the United Kwacha Alliance is Honorable Lucky Mulusa. And for some of you who may not know him, although I doubt whether there's many people who do not know such a vibrant character, I'll ask him to introduce himself to yourselves and say a few words and his plans with regards to the United Kwacha Alliance. Honorable Mulusa, please come forward. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Your Excellency President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, a man very close to me. We worked very well, and one who responded to my one request when he appointed me. I said, build us Solwezi Chingora Road, and he did. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure the message that the chairman has read is quite detailed. I wouldn't want to start repeating it. But one thing that I'll say is that the challenges before us are clear, and all Zambians are feeling those challenges on a daily basis. The solutions to those challenges, again, are before us. But for some reason, the current administration of Hakainde Hichilema has chosen to avoid resolving those challenges in the manner that they should, because it will not line their pockets and the pockets of the imperialists and the foreign agents whom they serve. UCA has got a very, very huge challenge. And the challenge is to redress what Zambia has gone through in the past 3 years, probably another 4th year, and the 5th year. So UCA is now transcending from a mere clarion call for us to come together as Zambians, because we had messages that there is no opposition. And we were saying, you can't say there is no opposition when there are 20 million Zambians. That is the opposition. And so this organized formation we are seeing today, and to which I'm privileged to be invited to serve as the Secretary General, is the foremost organized political formation this country has seen since the MMD.
Yes.
We are going to wrestle power from those that come in and give back the trust that Zambians give them with something else other than repayment, appreciation for the gift that they were given. And I want everybody here to go away knowing that the UPND never ever won the elections in 2021. It was simply the people that wanted to see something else. But what they got is something that they regret every single day. And all of us have got that opportunity to make sure that we restore ourselves to where we were as we walked towards the Vision 2030. The only problem with politicians is if you give them a chance to talk, they don't stop. But because you've clapped, I stop. Thank you very much. The rest of the pronouncements will be made once I meet the rest of the SGs in the various political parties that form this, understand the constitutions and understand the manifestos. Then when we have one unified document, then perhaps I can take calls from yourselves. But thank you very much. I really appreciate. It's rare to be appreciated. When you are shot with a big head, nobody notices, you know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary General Mulusa. Now, the next thing that I would like to do during this press conference is to invite my colleague, President Savoy Mboyela, to say something which some people may not have realized and taken note of. President Mboyela.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Mwauka. Mwabuka buyani. Mwabuka buti. Okay. I wanted to say that it has been 1 month 4 days since UKA was formed. I know it looks like 3 years, right? So I just wanted to say that 4 days ago, UKA clocked 1 month. But the kind of response that we've had from the people out there, I think it's very, very overwhelming.
Phenomenal.
And we are really, really short of words as the leaders of the various political parties, because when we started this, we thought maybe we'll start this and try to go to the people and mobilize and do all sorts of things. But the people have mobilized themselves.
Yeah.
You know? So we would like to thank you very, very much. The people have mobilized themselves, and I think the Women and Youth Days that we had a few days ago have shown that UKA is not only here in the media, on Facebook, it's on the ground. UKA is solidly on the ground, and we are very, very thankful to people for that. There are so many things we want to do, but like we have said, we have only been in existence right now 1 month, 4 days. We almost had a birthday 4 days ago, but we said we're going to have a 2 months birthday. You know, so after 2 months, we're going to have a birthday, and by then we're going to have a lot of things that would have achieved together to come back to you and say this is what has gone on. But within this 1 month, 4 days, a lot has happened, and a lot is going to happen in the next few days. We'll be coming in or coming out to come and tell you what exactly is happening. But the most important thing that I want to say right now is just to thank everybody out there for the kind of response that you've given to UKA. We've been joking to say it's more like we were saying, let's go to the Copper Belt. And we started off, and the people are already in Kapiri, and we're in Mandevu. So now we have to tell the people to say, hold on a bit. Hold on, we are coming. So that's the kind of mobilization which is out there. We all know as politicians to say the most difficult thing to do is to sell people your vision. Once people have bought into your vision, it's the easiest thing ever. But people have bought into the vision of UKA. UKA is more than a statement. UKA is more than an alliance. UKA, I think, is a revolution. And UKA is a call to action. Kind of UKA mwaukai, then mwauka mwishechan. So it's more than a name, it's a call to action. No wonder it's doing all sorts of things that we are happy that it's doing. So we thank you so much for everything that you've been able to do as people out there. And as your leaders, trust me, we are doing everything possible to ensure that you and us move at the same pace. Because the pace of the people is faster than ours. That we can tell you. Your pace is faster than ours, and we appreciate that a lot. And for that, no wonder we are seeing we are also jogging. Because we are trying to walk, but you people are jogging. So now we are jogging together so that we do whatever it is that we need to do for this country. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, President Imboera. My colleague has stated that your pace is very fast and we're jogging and trying to catch up. I think that with the step we have taken today of actually putting in place a Secretary General, you'll find that we are now going to go into turbo mode, and we're going to catch up with the rest of the Zambians and walk together into a brighter future and a nicer place to live in. Now, I would like to turn to another matter which we consider to be extremely important. I am sure that most of you have seen the headlines in the papers today. The headlines are about the letter which OSIDA has written to the American ambassador calling for selective, targeted sanctions against certain individuals in this government. It is the very first time this has ever happened, and we thought that we need to make a statement with regards to this very important issue. More so that all the three heads of government, that is the head of the executive, the head of the legislature, the head of the judiciary, have all been named in the OSIDA letter. That makes it extremely important and something that we cannot just look at lightly. It is extremely important. And if we are to be fair, we have to call upon every single Zambian to take time to actually read the letter that OSIDA have given to the American ambassador. It has got details of the various infringements that this government and those individuals who are named have been doing and which are affecting the democracy of our country. So as United Kwacha Alliance, we have taken note of the letter by OSIDA to the American ambassador to Zambia, His Excellency Michael Gonzalez, in which they have stepped up to take up the challenge of defending our country. The OSIDA letter is calling for targeted sanctions against certain individuals. Who can deny that OSIDA plays an important role in giving the nation a conscience? OSIDA has been touted by even the UPND themselves as a credible organization. Indeed, prior to 2021, OSIDA were clearly in President Hakainde's corner. OSIDA, therefore, has no axe to grind and cannot therefore be accused of being bitter. The OSIDA statement in paragraph 2 states that they are deeply alarmed by the continued abuse of institutions of governance and the erosion of democracy in Zambia today under the leadership of President Hakainde and his ruling UPND. Of particular concern to OSIDA and many others, such as UKA, are the violations of democratic rights, such as the right to public assembly, free speech, freedom of association, and the right to a speedy trial. These are also the concerns of several other organizations, such as the Zambia Conference of Catholic Bishops, the Law Association of Zambia, Chapter 1 Foundation, and ourselves, UKA. All of these have called on the Zambian government to respect and enable the expression of these fundamental democratic rights. Even diplomats, such as the British, American, Swedish, and others, have been making statements that they have concerns regarding the shrinking democratic space. Individuals who are seen as leaders in terms of the fight for rights and freedoms, individuals such as Dr. Sishua Sishua, Professor Munandulo, State Counsel John Sangwa, State Counsel Linda Kasonde, activist Brebna Changala, and many others have pointed out areas and incidents when officials in this government have clearly strayed offside. There is no doubt that many individuals and organizations will be sending supplemental petitions and letters to the American embassy. And they will be providing additional evidence in particular areas they agree with in the OSIDA letter. Indeed, some may even point out new and further areas and institutions of concern. We, as the United Kwacha Alliance, will certainly be sending in a supplemental petition to the one that OSIDA has given. OSIDA points out that combined calls for reform and reversal of these undemocratic practices have fallen on deaf ears. OSIDA notes that we have instead witnessed over the last several months further restrictions on the rights of citizens. OSIDA in its letter observes that, and I will quote what they say: public rallies by opposition parties continue to be banned by the Zambia Police Service. The judiciary continues to engage in what appears to be willful delay of the resolution of urgent political matters affecting the main opposition party. The executive arm of government continues to interfere in the operations of other institutions. The leadership of the National Assembly continues to undermine democracy in Parliament. Critics of the government continue to face intimidation and threats from state institutions and public officials. And leaders of the opposition continue to face arrest from the police based on what appears to be politically motivated charges. End of quote. I do not think that any true and fair Zambian will deny this statement by OSIDA. This indeed is the biggest news item and should be headlined in all media. This is the very first time in Zambia's history that sanctions have been called for against any Zambian, let alone the very top heads of the three arms of government. That is a very serious issue. And if we do not take this seriously, we will be the only ones to blame. All state-controlled media, however, seem to have been instructed to treat the letter as if it does not exist or it's not important. It is like a child covering his eyes with his fingers and thinking that because he's hiding behind his fingers, you cannot see him. That is the attitude President Hakainde and the UPND have. The news is, however, already gone worldwide. It is being reported outside this country. It has gone viral. So trying to pretend that it is not there will not help this government. So it's very surprising that the government's response so far is to stick their head in the sand like an ostrich, which has nowhere to hide. We can still see the featherless legs of that ostrich. We can still see that large mound of the body of the ostrich. They cannot hide. People are seeing. And they must know that the matter will not just disappear and go away. Tomorrow, President Hakainde is supposed to address the National Assembly. He is supposed to address the National Assembly on the application of national values and principles and what steps have been done in order to arrive at that. The national principles and values, according to the Constitution, include the issue of good governance, include the issue of ensuring that the rights of Zambians are respected, include all the matters which are in the OSIDA letter. Those are the issues that are supposed to be addressed in the address to Parliament tomorrow. Everybody, therefore, is going to be waiting for that address. Zambians are keenly looking to see how President Hakainde will respond to the serious allegations in the OSIDA letter. The Americans are going to be wide awake to see if President Hakainde has credible and believable answers to the questions raised in the OSIDA letter. International and local investors will make decisions as to whether or not to invest in Zambia, depending on how President Hakainde will be able to provide proof that there should be no worries concerning continued abuse of state institutions like the Anti-Corruption Commission, the Independent Broadcasting Authority, the Zambia Police Service, the National Assembly of Zambia, and the judiciary. Investors will not be willing to come if he does not provide clear evidence and answers to the OSIDA letter. We therefore call upon President Hakainde to ask his presidential team to tear up the speech they have prepared for him to deliver to Parliament on the progress made, if any, in the application of national values and principles tomorrow. Instead, the President's team should burn the midnight oil tonight and into the early dawn and come up with a new address to Parliament that will address the issues raised in OSIDA's letter, point by point. If they find it difficult to respond to the issues raised in the OSIDA letter by tomorrow, President Hakainde should postpone his parliamentary presidential address to next week, Friday. There is already a precedent set of postponing this address. As you remember, President Hakainde had postponed the address from last Friday to tomorrow. So let him postpone it again if he's not ready to answer the OSIDA letter in his address tomorrow. And should he, even after postponement, not be ready to address the issues raised in the OSIDA letter, then we'll call upon him to resign and to call for early elections, because clearly a sugar-coating address tomorrow to Parliament will not do. Let us save Zambia and make it great again. God bless and save our great land. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, President Sapiwa Skota, for that powerful message to the Zambians. I'm sure they are listening where they are, and Zambia is really suffering. And I would want to invite the media house. If we have questions, would be taking them into three. When you ask a question, you tell us where you are directing your question, to which president you are directing the question. So we'll be taking questions into threes, starting now. You introduce yourself. And,
I'm Alfonso, a freelancer journalist. My question is directed to the chairperson of the Alliance. I just want to get the clear view on how far you've gone in terms of registration of the Alliance as a political party, because should last week there was something that was circulating regarding the registration of the Alliance. Kindly advise how far it's gone and what's the current status.
Thank you. Second question, yes, sir.
My name is Ndanji Duncan Simonza from Diamond Media. My question goes to the chairman.
Your voice, sir. Can you raise your voice?
So my name is Ndanji Duncan Simonza. I'm coming from Diamond TV. My question goes to the chairman, and I think one of the things I want to refer to is the Variety Democracy Institute. They did issue out a report ranking Zambia as the third democratic country out of the 9 countries. Now with regards to OSIDA letter, how do you make all this into one solid conclusion or some sort?
Yes.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, panelists. My name is Mishek Nyurongo from Central Voice TV. My question is directed to the chairperson as well as the newly appointed SG. SG, in your statement, you made an allegation that the UPND government is serving the interest of the imperialists as well as the foreign agents. And the chairperson delivering his presentation, he said that they'll be making a supplementary letter to OSIDA, which is seeking audience from the Americans. And from my understanding, America should be one of the imperialists, if I'm not mistaken. So the question that I have is what's your stance? What is UCA's stance on the imperialist? And because from the SG, he's accusing the UPND government of serving the interest of the imperialists. So what's your stance? Because you are also seeking direction from the very imperialist. Yeah.
I invite upon the chairman, President Sapewa Spota, to attend to the three questions. The first one, the registration of the alliance. The second one, where Zambia is being ranked as state in democracy, and yet OSIDA is writing a letter contrary to what has been written. And then the last one, which has been directed to you and the SG, is about the imperialism. So you can attend to those questions.
Thank you very much. I do know that the issue of registration is something which is upmost in people's minds. I'm happy to be able to let you know that last week I had interaction with the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Home Affairs, PS Akafumba, and also with his colleague. There's two PSs at Home Affairs. PS Matimba. Very cordial interaction that we had, mutual respect, and one which helped to move things along. As a result of the meeting, the Acting Inspector General of Police, Mr. Muyambango, was also hooked into those discussions. And I went to see him following the direction from PS Akafumba, and he too received us very well, and he also stated that he does not see why there should be a problem with having the fingerprints of the proposed office holders to be processed. And as a result, he said he himself would be taking in those forms for them to start processing. He even stamped on the form. As you can see, there is the stamp there indicating that they have taken in the forms. He did indicate that it's not a procedure that takes one day, and that they would work on them as quickly as possible, and that once that is done, then they will give us the clearances, or if some of the people do not have clearances, we would have to submit different fingerprints for different set of people to ensure that the full set of 10 have no criminal records. Once that is done, those cleared fingerprints will then be attached to the form and then taken to the station which dealt with taking the fingerprints, which is Woodlands Police Station, for the officer in charge to endorse their stating that they also have no problems, and also looking at the comments that will be put by those who are doing the clearance of the fingerprints. there's also a step needed of then getting also the council secretary to also sign on the same form. At that stage, when that has been done, that is when the registrar of society will again come back into the picture and deal with that. So that is the current stage where we are at, and we'll keep you informed as we go ahead. If we meet any hurdles, we shall let you know. So at least that is one good news story. I think that there was a second question from Mr. Simwanza, Diamond TV, about Variety Democracy Institute and how that sits with the OSIDA letter. I'm very, very confident and sure that for all of you who are here, if not practically all of you, this was the very, very first time you were ever hearing about variety democracy. I'm looking around and I don't see anybody sort of saying, no, I knew about them. It's the very first time that we've heard about them. It's not like somebody like, for example, if we said Human Rights Watch, a lot of, yes, I can see their faces, they are nodding. They're an institution who are known. They're not just out of the blue. So as a result, when I saw that, I had to do a thorough search and investigation as to who VDEM are. And what I found is that it's an academic NGO that produces rankings that not many people take seriously. And their reputation is that they fall short of meeting the standard of doing thorough reports, in that they lack empirical justification and almost entirely rest on assumptions which are themselves either false or dated. It can only be taken seriously by politicians who are being praised by them and their supporters. So it's clear that this institution that none of you have ever heard of before is not an institution upon which you should place a lot of. I'm even surprised it made headlines, such an institution. Whereas with OSIDA, all of you know of OSIDA. All of you know of the works OSIDA has done in the past. It is not something new. It is an organization which has got a lot of credibility. It is an organization we all listen to once they speak. So to answer you, Mr. Simwanza, that is how I will juxtapose VDEM and OSIDA. The third question, which was brought up, is by Mishek Nyirongo of Central Voice, on the allegation that UPND is more concerned with serving imperialist interests. We strongly feel so. And that is the position we take, that is what they're doing. I think that us writing, or if we are going to be seen to write to the American embassy, that does not mean that we are supporting imperialists. The American embassy are not imperialists. The imperialists are certain multinationals who come and they loot our countries, take our minerals. That is not being done by the American ambassador. So we must differentiate between who is the imperialist and who are diplomats. So we see no harm or contradiction in us going to have audience with the American ambassador or any other diplomats. That is something that we shall be undertaking and doing. I don't know whether it's necessary for the SG. I believe that I've covered what he too would have liked to say. So take that message that UCA is out here and the focus is to ensure that we put this country back on track.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm sure those questions have been answered well, and before we take another set of questions, before we take another set of questions, I would want to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Benba Changala, who is here with us. Just to wave at the people, sir. Oh. Yes, sir.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Brebner. As I sit here, I have a phone in my hand. I'm being removed from OSIDA elsewhere. This is a dynamic nation, but we must remain firm, resolute, and focused. We face a mammoth task, and that task is how we reorganize ourselves to face colleagues that were once colleagues who have decided to part away for various selfish reasons and mount a new administrative approach to the destruction of our national unity. I stand before you very
Now, in 2026, you change the government. Time has come to tell you people to tell us how you change the government in 1991 so that we can change the government of Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, which has failed the Zambian people. I want to tell Tanjamino Bunga, you the leaders who are here. I want to tell you are here. We are not going to allow you that the Zambian people are going to live in poverty when you are here. Tell us how you change the government in 1991 so that Mr. Hakainde Hichilema and this government, they can pack their bags before 2026. Because the Zambian people are living in poverty. When you, the leaders, were there and you are still alive, The reason why God gave you life is to make a difference in the Zambian people's life. That's why here. Before I end up my contribution, I want to thank Mr. Edgar Chagwa, the former president. We are not going to thank him when he's dead. Edgar is a man of infrastructure. When are you going to honor that man? Are we going to honor when he died? Time has come to honor that man when he's still alive. It is you, the Uka people, who should organize an award for Edgar Chagwa, who is still alive. His friends are dead. What are we waiting for to honor a big man work for the Zambian people? Time has come for the Zambian people to rise up. Fear is the beginning of the downfall of every country. Why should we fear one individual? Akaindia must understand that this country is for the Zambian people. We are not going to allow him. It is better all of us will go to jail for the benefit of the future and the younger generation. Time has come for you, the people in the Uka, to rise up. Like an eagle. That's why we have got an eagle there. Is to rise up together, to fight for Mother Zambia. When there is failed leadership, in conclusion, can you tell us when we are going for the early election?
Your name, sir? You didn't tell us your name.
Joseph Chimba.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Another hand there.
Viva, viva Uka! Viva, viva Uka! Viva Uka! Viva Uka! Your Excellency, my name is Evangelist George Mapulanga. I'm a national mobilization chairman for Citizen Space. I'm also MCC and again member of Fukuba. My major concern is what? That major concern needs to be critically looked into by the opposition. From the time the UPND government took over power, voter registration exercise is never rested. That should never be ignored. Outside this, my nephew, Onis, who is 16 years today, next year he or she will vote. Now, we don't want mind. Now you go some dialogue. Please, you want to take government and we move. You already share for your issue. The second issue is my request. Glad our SG for Uka has been pronounced. This is our request as for mobilization. Our request to Viva SG, please speed up the process of all the modalities so that we begin moving. We need to move. We don't have time. Viva Uka Viva! Viva Viva!
Thank you very much. The last question. Last hand. Yes, sir.
Good morning, leaders. My name is Mwini, coming from Hope Channel.
Your name is?
Mwini. Chair, just a few questions. Currently, we have load shedding, and it's a very disturbing issue, especially that businesses are no longer running as they should, especially small businesses. What are some of the long-term measures that you various leaders have? Because this is not the first time we are experiencing load shedding. We have experienced load shedding even in the previous government. And so, as leaders, should the people of Zambia trust you with power to lead Zambia in the future? What plans or how are you intending to make sure that you get rid of load shedding so that in case we do not have rains, because you know climate change is a very serious matter that we cannot ignore, so we do not know how the pattern is going to be in the nearest future. How are we intending to make sure that this should be an issue of the past? We also have the drought issue, and there's little or no food in the country. What are some of the short-term measures that you are putting in place, because you are here to serve the people, even in opposition? How do you intend to serve the people of Zambia to make sure that they do not perish with hunger? And also the last question on the matter of democracy. Uka has been saying democracy is shrinking in the country, And the chair made a very remarkable comment in line with registration. And he says the process is going on very well and they will keep updating the people of Zambia. Isn't that a sign of democracy in the country, that opposition political parties are able to thrive and processes of registration are going on well? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We have 3-1 from the grassroots media. They want to find out that most of the leaders we have here, they were there in 1991, and they want, he's asking that you tell us how you changed government so that 2026 will be easy for us to change government. Then another hand there, Mr. Maplanga talked about voter registration, which has never rested. How are we going to handle it? Then Mr. Mwene is asking you to give a leakage to the government how they should resolve load shedding and the drought issues. So, and also he asked the question about shrinking democracy. Mr. Chairman, you can attend to those questions, sir.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chimba. Chichimba. Oh, sorry, I'd written it as Chimba. Chichimba. My apologies. Mr. Chichimba, your words are very inspiring. They also give us strength. They also help us to remain focused. You ask about 1991 and how that was achieved. 1991 was achieved because of people like you, people who stood up and were not afraid to speak. It was not about the leaders of the movement for multi-party democracy. It was the people. The people are the ones who drove the whole journey into multi-partyism. It was a people's movement. Today, what we see is very similar to what we had in 1991. You heard my colleague, President Mboela, talking about how the people were ahead of us and we were running to catch up to them. That is because what United Kwacha Alliance stands for is something that every Zambian stands for, people such as yourself. And that is why this movement, the United Kwacha Alliance, is going to succeed. It has got all the hallmarks of 1991. There is a wind of change that the UPND will not be able to stop. Yeah. That is how we're going to make sure that Kwacha is coming to Zambia. Turning to the second question from Mr. George Mapulanga. Thank you again for your questions. Indeed, voter registration is very, very important, and it's an exercise that we cannot ignore. And even speeding up mobilization is something we need to do. It's for that very reason that we have put in place a Secretary General who is going to be tasked with actually following up on these very issues and others that you have mentioned. He is going to be putting together a team of very competent people, as competent as he is. He'll even have some who are even more competent than himself. That is how good the team will be. And it is going to ensure that these issues are dealt with. Mr. Mwene had 3 questions. The first one he had was with regard to load shedding, and that it was disturbing small businesses, and not only small businesses, by the way, it's also disturbing medium and even big businesses. It's disturbing all business. That is what the load shedding is doing. It's sad that government doesn't seem to be serious about tackling this problem. It is a very serious problem. I was deeply disturbed to see the response from the chief government spokesperson, Mr. Cornelius Mwetwa. He said, if there is load shedding, what you should do is turn on your inverters. I'm sure you heard him say that. I just want to do a little survey here. Amongst you, those who have got inverters at their house or at their business, can you put up your hands? Those who have got inverters. Solar inverters. Is there anyone in this whole crowd? Please, if you have, put up your hand. I do not see a single hand. So then it means that UPND and Larry Mwetwa has got no solution for you, because it's asking you to do something that you obviously cannot do. That's how unserious the UPND are. Or maybe let me ask, how many of you have got gensets? Muribe. So don't you agree? Don't you agree? Don't you agree then that if you have a government like that, they've got no heart for you? You know what it reminds me of? There is a certain queen of France who was called Marie Antoinette. And there was a shortage of bread in Paris. There was a shortage of bread, like we have shortages of midi meal here. There was a shortage of bread. And then when she was asked, there's shortage of bread, what will the people do? She turned around and said, why don't they eat cake? Unfortunately for her, the people got so annoyed that they actually guillotined her. She was executed by the people. The point I'm trying to make is that Cornelius Mwetwa is acting like Marie Antoinette. He says that there's load shedding. He says, oh, turn on your inverters, your solar pumps, and so on. That's exactly the kind of attitude Marie Antoinette had. You need a government which will realize that serious problems have to be dealt with compassion. The second issue that Mr. Mwene brought up was the drought issue and hunger. Again, this is a very, very serious problem. And with the drought, for example, we started long ago to talk about the need to have recognized that we are in a drought situation, that measures should be taking place way before now. Unfortunately, President Hakainde and the UPND only about 2 weeks ago then realized that we do have this problem. Then that is when they declared the disaster. After they declared the disaster, you've heard various international organizations and countries are now saying, okay, we can try to help you. If he had listened to us earlier, that is the opposition parties, and declared it earlier, we would have been 2 years ahead of where we are now. He's talking about now wanting to have dams made and also canals. This is something we've been talking about, and it's only said that, if you remember, President Nawakwi and myself were on, that was Lusaka Radio, about a month ago. And one of the things we highlighted was that there's a need to have put in place a plan for dams, for irrigation and everything. That is what we talked about. So these people, after they had seen that, now they've woken up. We've Ukanized them. Vauka, we've organized them and they're trying to now copy what we said. But they are doing it too late and they don't really even know how to do it properly. That's why we should be in place to be able to do that. We've got the vision. We've shown it by having done the things that they're now copying before they even thought about it. So that is what we bring. And then your last question, Mr. Mwene, was that there is democracy because the registration process is going ahead. I think that the pressure of the Zambians is what has caused for the registration process to finally start moving. The Zambian people, if you checked on social media and other platforms, were demanding and saying, why? Why are you not going ahead? The pressure was just too much. And that is why you see there's a change in attitude. There should never have been a need to have gone through that. There should never have been a need on a simple issue